There was a cat that was on a trampoline. It was trying to catch chickens.
Oh.
Yeah, it was crazy. Oh, hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Don't Screw Up Your Relationship. This is episode 7. Episode 7. Wow. 7 is the number of completion. And so we're not finished, but this is number 7, just so you'll know. Which follows.
What?
Comes after 6.
Very good.
Yes, thank you.
You know your numbers. Congratulations.
Yes. Next week we're working on letters.
Proud of you.
Proud of you. But this is Don't Screw Up Your Relationship with two people that are not relationship experts, but we have screwed up relationships and we have
been screwed over in relationships.
Yes. What she said, you heard it here first. So, we're going to take a break from Trauma Brain for a little bit because it brings trauma to my brain. But thank you for the comments and the likes and everybody who has viewed. It means a lot on the social medias, no matter what media you're watching on. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash the bell, subscribe, and you'll get all the uploads that come with it. Tonight, we are just going to spitball talking about somebody who screwed up their relationship. So
their life.
Their life, yeah. What do you make of this Sean Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy Combs?
Ooh.
What about that?
It's a lot, because we were watching, last night, we were watching The Fall of Diddy on Max. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen it, it's actually pretty interesting. It sort of goes into his life before the fall, kind of a deal, and then everything that led up to the fall.
Yeah.
So.
And this is not sponsored by Max, by the way.
No, it's not. Am I not allowed to say Max?
I know you can.
Oh,
if they pick us up, that would be great.
Well.
I'm not saying that would.
Right.
But if they want to pick us up, by the way, it would be
great. Don't.
So, so if you've been following in the news or if you know anything, I don't know how you would not know who Sean.
Right.
Combs
Especially if you're of a certain age, like.
Yeah.
Us older millennials are very familiar with P. Diddy or Puff Daddy or Sean Combs or Puffy or oh Lord, didn't he have one before then? Maybe not.
I don't know.
He went just by Diddy for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is what I think he goes by now. But anyway, I digress.
Diddy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So if you don't know who he is, I would just Google him, and I don't know how you don't know. But he was a music mogul, and he was in the 80s and 90s. I didn't know this in the documentary, but in the 80s and 90s, the one producer lady said it was impossible to be involved in the music business, no matter what genre of music you were in, and not have to deal with Puffy.
Right.
P. Diddy. Mm-hmm. There was the big rival, of course, the East Coast, West Coast rival. Mm-hmm. Diddy was representing the East Coast, and Suge Knight. If you don't know who that is, I don't know where you've been. But Suge Knight represented the West Coast, and Suge is actually still in prison. Mm. It's amazing. He's in prison. Diddy's in prison.
Not on the same block. Though.
Not on the same block. But they.
They're not even in the same prison. I don't believe.
No. But they had the rival. It was also led up to the assassination of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, and there was a lot of talk about was Diddy involved in that. Mm-hmm. But so what really kind of spearheaded this was there was I guess it was a few weeks ago now, the video of him in the hotel
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with and I can never remember her name. Cass.
Mm-hmm.
And he is in a robe.
Yeah, no, he's in a towel.
A towel.
And excuse me, we're probably going to get into some domestic violence and some trauma, sexual trauma. So just precursor warning: if this is too much, if this is triggering, that's where we're going with this conversation. So we'll see you next episode if you decide to tune out.
Right. Well, we may carry this over.
We might.
We may have to.
But we will let you know if we're going to get into this some more.
But the thing is, he comes out in a towel, and he like literally puts hands on her, throws her on the ground, and just it's just a horrible scene. And so initially the thought is that if you've seen him, he had his own clothing like Sean John. Of course, he had his own Ciroc.
Yeah, Ciroc vodka is his. He has a production company. He has several other entrepreneurial businesses, and of course, there's the music. There's
producing,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of that, acting, I guess, as well.
I don't know if he's done any movies.
Acting, yeah.
I don't really know. I could be wrong about that. I apologize.
Yeah. So the initial thing is, whenever you saw Diddy in public, if he was performing, of course, he's a showman. There's no doubt about it. He was a fantastic marketer. He learned from major mistakes and corrected them to become a fantastic promoter. And then anybody that signed with his label was, they were certain to be a star. Justin Bieber, Mace, who I just recently found out is now preaching.
Interesting.
Yeah, Mace said, I'm getting away from the whole thing and going in a totally opposite direction. But, Diddy had the white parties.
Everybody knew about the white parties.
Everybody knew about the white parties.
Wanted to be a part of the white party.
Yep, if you got an invitation to the white party, I never did. So
I did. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you? I'm just kidding. But the thing was that he always was put together, was putting on this great front. That he's just this fantastic guy. Was a millionaire.
Yeah.
At 20-something.
29.
And then became a billionaire.
Well, just recently.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so this guy was successful by all outside measures, but we find out that he treats it, so it sounds like he's treating a single woman terrible. But the case is that all throughout his life, he had this history of being just a bully towards women. But this is what really got me, is that he was that way all the way around.
Towards everyone, really. Anyone that disagreed with him, anyone who he felt was being disloyal in some way, shape, or form, was not immune to the wrath. It didn't matter if you were his childhood best friend or if you were just some person that happened to be in the studio on a day that he was having a fit and he felt like you were the problem. It's very interesting to me how at one point he was just a regular guy. So how do you go from being a regular guy and being so successful but still treating people the way you did? That's the part that always kills me, is he surrounded himself with these other musical moguls, these other talents, these producers, these writers, singers, artists. So how is it that if he exhibits the same behavior, and this goes back to accountability, if you exhibit the exact same behavior with so many different groups of people, but yet you're still allowed to become this successful, there's a problem. There is definitely something that is broken within not just that, but just a society as a whole, because some of these people were very powerful, and for them not to stand up and say, this isn't okay. And half of it makes me think, okay, yeah, Diddy did a lot, and he's talented.
Mm-hmm.
There's no denying that. You cannot deny that he is a talented artist. He's a talented producer. He's very talented. But I just don't understand how other talented people around him allowed this behavior to continue. That's the part that will baffle me forever. And I know money talks. Let's not.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
money talks, absolutely. And I have this sinking feeling that maybe it was all just to benefit themselves. Maybe they were like, well, we can turn a blind eye. Maybe he's not like this all the time. Maybe he's just having a bad day. Whatever story they had to tell themselves to make themselves feel better for not calling out a monster, as we found out.
He had, and there were people in this documentary. I guess that's what you would call it.
Yeah,
a
it's a documentary.
The Fall of Diddy. That there are bodyguards and close personal friends and people that were employed by him that are talking about his behavior. Now, some of them got away, some of them didn't. But that this guy was just, there's a scene that they showed. He's in his office and he picks up the phone.
Oh yeah.
And throws the phone, and he says, I get whatever I want. I'm a monster. I get whatever I want. And it's like a spoiled brat pitching a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
But this is what I found interesting. He wasn't mad because he was throwing the phone saying, I don't get what I want.
Right.
He's saying, I get what I want.
Right.
This guy had money. He had fame. He couldn't walk outside without security. Anywhere he went, the cameras were there. And it's almost a bit of a telling story that it doesn't matter how much, he's in prison now, but it doesn't matter how much money you have or how influential you are or how big you build your empire. You cannot run from who you are. And we talked about this just like briefly, and we talked about accountability, and that might be a good subject to talk about maybe in the next episode too, is accountability, because I want to touch on this here. He had no accountability.
Right.
Nobody was going to call him out. He was calling the shots, but he had no accountability with his partner.
Right.
He was married to, help me here, who was he married to when he was with J-Lo? I forget the girl's name, but he was.
I can't remember her name.
So J-Lo and Diddy had a relationship. It was very public, all the while that he's married. And he thinks it's okay. And his wife one night goes out for a girls' night out, and Diddy shows up in the club and walks in there and tells her, he dumps her purse out and says, you need to be home. You're not going to party. I'm going to party, but you're not going to party. No accountability whatsoever.
Right.
How can you have a successful relationship if you don't have accountability with your partner?
Right.
How are you going to keep yourself in check if you don't have some type of accountability? That you just feel like you run the world.
Right.
If Diddy were to say, well, I believe in God, I would say, I don't think that you do. Because and when you say you believe in God, maybe you mean yourself. Because that's kind of the way Diddy comes off. We're coming towards the end here, but I think maybe in the next episode, I want to talk a little bit about accountability in relationships. I think that's a really big, important thing to talk about in regards to that. So we're going to talk about Diddy, give you our thoughts on it, but we're also going to take that and turn it into something that'll be beneficial.
Absolutely.
Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
It sounds good to me. Okay. Well, before they cut me off, then let me go ahead and give you Bucky's.
Bye.
See you on the next one.